It's 10 in the morning, shortly after the close of our last episode, as...
Officer Perry Mason? Oh, Jake, Mr. Mason's in conference in the law library, but you can tell me. Can tell me. Please tell me. I'm dying to hear if it worked. What'd he say? Did you give Mr. Rath a glass of water? Oh, yes, I'll tell him. Jake, wait a minute. Here's Perry now. Oh, already hung up.
Oh, is that Jacobson?
Yes, have you time for me to tell you?
Yes, I'm afraid so. Mr. Merriweather is making up his mind about a new cutter suit to his will.
Again?
Yes, again. So, did Jake see the district attorney?
Yes, and it's working, Perry. Mr. Rath told Jake he's absolutely positive that Ed Beekman killed Weber. Then Jake said you made a reference to secret evidence which made a slight impression. Then Jake told him you were going on record as believing that Ed is innocent, which made more. When Jake left, Mr. Abt was reaching for aspirin tablets. Oh, Perry.
Well, Abt still has a case against Ed Beekman, you know.
Yes, but at least you've started Abt thinking.
Let's hope he thinks in the right direction.
There's no reason for him to suspect that Kate Beekman was in Gordy's apartment. No one saw her.
We don't think so.
Well, even if they did, Kate's undercover.
Yes, in your apartment. We'll have to move her.
Yes, where? And when?
To a good hideaway, and as soon as possible. There's one guy we can't forget for a minute. The man who did kill Weber. So start the ball rolling now. Phone Kate, see how she's getting along. And phone her mother, ask her to pack some clothes for Kate. Phone Paul Drake, ask him to come here immediately. And then make an appointment at the jail for me to see Ed. Meanwhile, in the office of District Attorney Frederick Abt.
Yes, this is Mr. Rath. Has Lieutenant Halverson come in yet? Yes, you can take a message. I want to see him in my office immediately. Well? Who? What did they say with the... Oh, very well, send them in. And order me another box of aspirin. Well, you wanted to see me?
Yes, sir.
I'm Marion Connolly.
I'm Jimmy Mitchell. This is Marion Connolly.
We're going to be married.
What?
I mean, that's how we happen to be together. We're going to be married.
Well, she's saying she wouldn't be here without me, and I wouldn't come without her.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll be very, very happy, and let me offer my congratulations. And now, suppose you tell me what you want.
Well, we think it's important, Mr. Abt.
I know. Too important to speak with one of my assistants. But I'm a very busy man, Mr. Mitchell.
It's about Mr. Weber, who got killed.
However, I'm always at the service of the public. Always. Sit down, my dear. Miss Connolly, is it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So you're going to be married, eh? Well, what do you know about the murder?
Well, we should have come in before now, Mr. Abt.
If you've got information, why didn't you?
No, Jimmy.
Let me handle it,
I
Marion.
will not. He's just saying it, Mr. Abt. I was the one who didn't want to tell.
So you want to conceal information? That's a very serious matter.
Now, just a minute.
A criminal offense. Why did you want to hide information?
Well,
She just didn't want to hurt anybody.
Are you ready to give me this information now?
Yes, sir. I'll be glad to tell you. I'm a porter in the Graydon Apartments. That's where Mr. Weber lived.
and I'm a waitress in the coffee shop downstairs.
Uh-huh. Did you know Mr. Weber?
Well, we knew who he was since he lived in the building and all, but we didn't know him to talk to.
I didn't want to talk to him.
Okay, Marion.
He spoke to me plenty of times, though.
What?
That isn't all. When I first started working in the coffee shop, he even... Well, I'm not going to talk about it, but...
Wait a minute. What did he do?
Now, just a minute, both of you. If you know something, tell it.
Yes, sir. Anyhow, Marion and I both work in the building, and we plan to get married, so... Well, naturally, I want to see Marion every chance I get.
I want to see you, too, Jimmy.
Sometimes I come in the coffee shop, but there are always other people around, especially Mac. He's the fry cook. Mac was sweet on Marion till I beat his time.
Jimmy, you...
Anyhow, when Marion isn't busy in the coffee shop and I got a few minutes, she'll come and meet me on one of the floors in the apartment building. We'll stand in the hall and talk. Well, the night Mr. Weber was killed, we were down the hall outside his apartment.
You see anybody go in or come out?
Well, yes, sir, that's what I'm going to tell you. We saw a man go in Weber's apartment.
When?
Oh, just a little before 10 o'clock.
You know Weber was killed just a little before 10?
Well, yes, sir, but I'm not making up the time, Mr. Rath. I remember because I had to go back on duty at 10.
This man, what did he look like?
Oh, he was around 45, 48 maybe.
Yeah.
Big, strong-looking guy. And he dressed nice. You know, blue suit, gray hat.
You remember that, do you?
Well, I had a reason to. He looked mad. Well, he walked like he was mad.
What?
You know, when a guy's mad, you can tell by the way he walks. Anyhow, he went to Weber's apartment. He knocked on the door, then went in. We never saw him come out.
Just a minute. Take a look at this picture.
Well, that isn't the guy.
You absolutely sure?
Sure.
Very good. This is not a photograph of the man you saw. I was merely checking the accuracy of your account.
But we know who he was. His picture's in the paper. Mr. Beekman.
You recognized him from his newspaper picture?
Well, he sure looks like the guy.
He was. Well, thank you very much. My secretary will prepare a statement for you to sign. Well, what are we waiting for?
We haven't told you all of it, Mr. Apt. There was a girl.
Girl? Where?
We saw her, too. She's the reason I didn't want to tell you. She looked like such a nice kid.
Never mind that.
Yes, sir. Anyway, we saw the girl before we saw Mr. Beekman. But Jimmy and I decided to tell you about Mr. Beekman first.
Miss.
I'm going to tell you. Well, just a few minutes before we saw Mr. Beekman, we saw a girl go into Mr. Weber's apartment.
Who?
I don't know.
Go on.
Well, she acted like she was, scared, kind of.
Scared? Afraid someone would see her?
I guess she jumped when she saw us. Anyhow, she went to Mr. Weber's apartment and then went in.
How did she go in?
Well, through the door.
Did anyone open the door for her?
Yes, sir. Mr. Weber opened the door.
Yeah, I saw him, too.
Then what?
Nothing. But then in a few minutes, Mr. Beekman went inside.
Whoever let Mr. Beekman in, of course.
No, sir.
Well, of course he did. It was Mr. Weber's apartment. So naturally, Mr. Weber admitted him.
But he didn't.
Now, think carefully, miss.
You don't have to think carefully. Beekman let himself in.
Yeah, we'll leave that for now. Go on.
Well, a few minutes later, the girl, that same girl, came running out of the apartment.
You don't say.
She ran like something was after her.
Oh, very interesting. Tell me about this girl.
Well, she was good looking.
Indeed.
Yeah, real good looking. She had a cute figure. Well, she wasn't as cute as Marion.
Thanks, Jimmy. She really was a beautiful girl, though.
But now let's set the chronology, shall we?
What?
The sequence of events.
Oh.
The girl came to Weber's apartment. Weber admitted her, closed the door, right?
Yes.
A few moments later, the man you recognize as Ed Beekman went to that apartment. He knocked, but apparently those inside were too preoccupied to hear him. At least, Weber didn't answer the door, so Beekman let himself in, right? And then, shortly thereafter, the girl ran out of the apartment. But Beekman stayed inside. Am I right? Well?
You got it, Mr. Rath.
Now describe this girl to me. Just anything you happen to notice.
Well, she was awful pretty.
Anything else?
She had red hair. Oh, it was red as blazes. I never saw such...
What was that?
Red hair. She had red hair.
You're mistaken.
Jimmy's right. She did have red hair.
You're mistaken.
She is not.
Oh, but she is. Miss Connolly is mistaken or deliberately lying.
I'm telling you, mister, don't call her a liar.
Very well, my boy.
Huh?
I just had to be sure. Very, very sure. I'm sure. Or almost. Agnes, dig me up a picture of Kate Beekman. Immediately.
Well, even before Marion Connolly and Jimmy Mitchell see Kate's picture, you know the identity of the red-haired girl they saw enter Gordy's apartment. And now, well, you'll join us on Monday, won't you? It's mid-morning, immediately after the close of our last episode, as District Attorney Frederick Apt orders a certain photograph for inspection by the young couple waiting in his office. And in just a moment, we're going to hear a vitally important development in the matter of Gordon Weber's murder. First, and also concerned with Gordy's murder, Della Street enters her own apartment building.
Della, what are you doing home this time of day? Oh, hi, Millie. I forgot a file of letters.
Miss Street.
Oh, hi, Katie.
Didn't I hear you speak to someone?
One of my neighbors asked me what I was doing home at this time of day. I told her I forgot a file of letters.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to tell a fib.
Well, sometimes you have to, and when you do, or when you think you do.
Oh, how is Pa, Miss Street?
He's all right. Mr. Mason's talking with him now. Your father sends his love and says you are not to worry about it.
How about me, Miss Street? I want to see Ma. I know she's lonely.
She is, honey, and you can phone her.
Oh.
That's one of the things I'm supposed to tell you. You can phone and talk to her, only just don't tell her where you are.
Why?
Well, Mr. Mason doesn't think the police want to question you, not yet. But, quoting Mr. Mason, a murder case is like a crazy jackrabbit.
What?
Just can't tell which way it's going to jump.
Oh.
So if the police do decide to question you, Katie, you'll have to tell them you were in Gordy's apartment when he was killed.
Well, I could lie to them.
That's something I'm supposed to tell you. In case the police do look for you, and in case they find you, don't lie.
But what will I say?
Nothing, if you can. Just ask to see Mr. Mason and say absolutely nothing until Mr. Mason gets there. Don't worry about it, honey. You're staying here so they won't find you. Okay?
Okay, Miss Street.
Now. Why, Kate, what have you been doing? A dust mop in the room?
Oh, I've been house cleaning. Well, the maid couldn't come in because I'm here.
You've been busy.
I've been busy trying to stay busy.
You've got a little more to do now. I brought you something. You sit down and I'll just show you. Can you use a typewriter?
Well, some.
Well, here's my portable typewriter. I'll put it right here on the table. There we are. And here's some typewriter paper and carbon paper. I want you to make a copy.
Of what?
Of everything and everyone that you saw, everything you heard in the nightclub.
Oh, just everything?
I'm going to tell you. Kate, I know it isn't easy for a girl to think about a man that she doesn't like. I know it's fun if you like him. But when you don't...
Miss Street, if you mean Gordy, I don't dislike him anymore. I mean, I can't help feeling sorry for him. Nobody, I don't care how bad he is, deserves what happened to Mr. Weber. I heard him beg for his life, Miss Street. I heard him beg.
I know, honey. But, Kate, you and your father will never be safe until Mr. Mason finds the real killer. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, we don't know why Gordy was killed, but it's possibly because of his business or personal association.
I understand.
Mr. Mason isn't sure, not yet, but there is a chance that Weber was involved with the stolen car syndicate. And it's possible the whole nightclub was involved.
Oh.
So you see why it's important for Mr. Mason to know everything you saw and everything you heard that could have a bearing.
Yes, I see. Golly, Miss Street, I had no idea that...
Well, you do now. And there's the typewriter.
I'll get right to work.
Well, take time off to fix yourself some lunch. I think there's a can of tuna in the kitchen.
Oh, thanks.
Now, I think that's everything. Oh, I almost forgot. Here's the newspaper. You can look at it while you're eating lunch.
Thanks. Oh, Gordy's funeral is tomorrow. Oh, Miss Street, what happened? I mean, why are some men cruel and ruthless and...
I don't know, Katie. There are a few like that. And there are nice guys like Mr. Mason.
Oh, I like him so much.
Oh, we've got a lot in common. Now, let's see. Oh, yes, the folder of letters.
What?
The folder of letters I forgot to take to the office this morning.
Oh, I thought you just told your neighbor you forgot the letters.
Oh, no. I could have told you everything right over the phone.
Then you didn't, Sid. I'm glad.
Goodbye, honey.
Bye.
Meanwhile, in a small anteroom off the district attorney's main office, Marion Connolly's pretty face is concerned as she speaks to her sweetheart.
Jimmy, listen.
Wait, Mary.
Well, did you hear what the district attorney said?
Be quiet, can't you?
Jimmy.
I only asked you to be quiet a minute.
You didn't have to say it like that.
I'm sorry, Marion.
Why are you whispering? Jimmy, what are you doing?
I'm looking for it.
Looking for what? Jimmy.
I'm looking for a dictaphone or a hidden microphone.
What?
A microphone so they can hear what we say in the next room.
Why would they have a microphone?
So they can hear what we say. I've seen it in the movies.
Movies?
Yeah, movies.
Oh, stop it, Jimmy. You always get crazy ideas just
Look
because
at this.
What is it?
It's a microphone hidden under the edge of the desk.
Oh!
Don't say a word, not a word. Come over to the other side of the room. Clear over in the corner.
Jimmy, I'm scared.
Look, we're okay, baby.
But hidden microphone.
They only got it in case we're not on the up and up. All we got to do is tell the truth and we're okay.
All right, Jimmy.
That's my girl.
Jimmy.
What is it, sweetheart?
That girl.
Marion.
Didn't you hear the name Mr. Rath called her? Kate Beekman.
So?
So she's Ed Beekman's daughter. And if she was in Mr. Weber's apartment...
Not if, sweetheart. You and I know she was.
Maybe that's why her father killed him.
If he did.
What do you mean, if? Ed Beekman's under arrest.
They arrested him before they knew his daughter was in Weber's place. Maybe she did it.
Jimmy, don't say that.
I only said maybe.
She didn't. I know she didn't. She looked like a sweet girl.
Look, baby, I don't know who did it. But I'm telling you, all we got to do is tell what we saw. The DA.
Oh.
Sorry to keep you young people waiting. But perhaps you didn't mind, eh? Oh, just a moment while I switch off the microphone. We'll get busy.
What microphone?
Behind this chair.
But I thought the one in the desk...
Marion.
Oh, the one on the desk is merely a dummy. People find that one very easily. Then they come over here and they whisper. We hear them, and there you are.
Well, that's real slick.
I had a purpose in telling you. We are slick, Mr. Mitchell. You'll get along fine if you remember just how slick we are.
Yes, sir.
Now take a look at these photographs. Here are 24 photographs of young women of about 21 years of age. Each of these girls has red hair. Pick out the one you saw enter Weber's apartment. You aren't even looking at them.
No, sir. I didn't know it was going to be like this.
What do you mean?
We don't like putting the finger on anybody, Mr. Rath. But at least I thought we'd do it face to face.
Now, let me explain. This is not a positive identification. Later, after we've made certain investigations of the girl whose picture you select, you'll pick that girl out of a lineup. This is merely a working identification. You understand?
We don't like it.
I hope we don't have trouble with you young people. You plan to be married, don't you?
What's that got to do with it?
Don't you plan to marry?
When we've saved enough money to furnish an apartment.
I certainly hope nothing happens to spoil your plans.
I don't get you.
No? I was thinking what a pity if your employers learned you refused to cooperate, and one or both of you lost your jobs.
Oh, that's her picture right on top.
You sure?
Yes. Isn't she Kate Beekman?
Yes, that is a photograph of Miss Beekman. I put it right on top to save time.
You think of everything, don't you?
I try to, young man. I certainly try. Thanks ever so much for your cooperation. You'll see, we're going to get along just fine.
Because of what you just heard, you know it's well Perry Mason has taken measures to protect Kate Beekman. But also because of what has just happened, Mason's efforts to find the real killer are going to hit a snag. We're going to hear Perry Mason visit the district attorney in our next episode. So by all means, join us tomorrow, won't you? It's mid-morning, shortly after the close of our last episode. As in the office of District Attorney Frederick Apt.
Hello, Mr. Apt.
Ah, Halverson. You finally got here, huh?
Well, I don't know about finally. Your message just caught up with me.
Sit down, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
You know, Lieutenant, There's nothing like doing a good job to make a man feel fit as a fiddle. When a man knows he's right and he proves he's right, well, there's no feeling like it.
Mm-hmm. Just what are you talking about, Mr. Rath?
The Weber killing.
You working on it personally?
I am, and I'm getting results.
Good.
I'm not going to complain, Lieutenant, and neither am I going to say I told you so, but as a matter of fact, I did tell you.
What?
When Ed Beekman maintained his innocence in the face of the evidence against him, you said Beekman might be telling the truth. Well, I really don't like to say I told you so.
You talked to Beekman again?
Beekman has been in conference with his attorney, Mr. Perry Mason. I've got Mason this time, Halverson, because I've got Beekman dead to rights. Oh, I'll be frank with you. I had a very small doubt myself, in spite of the evidence against him. His fingerprints on the knife and all the rest. I don't mind saying I was puzzled, because I couldn't see a motive for Beekman.
Yes, that little thing bothered me, too, among other things.
He had a motive. Beekman's trouble with the dead man last year.
Yes, sir. But you don't have a run-in with a guy last year and then look him up this year and stab him to death.
That kind of thing happens, Lieutenant.
Not with a guy in his right mind. And Beekman's got all his marbles. We've run ourselves ragged looking for a connection between Weber and Beekman, and we draw a blank. I'll bet you $5 Beekman didn't see Weber for a year.
$5, huh?
Or 100. Beekman just didn't have any truck with the guy. Beekman stuck to his job and kept his nose clean.
And you say he has no motive?
Only that trouble a long time ago. But that isn't all, Mr. Apt. I've been over to the crime lab.
I'm certain you had an interesting visit. But suppose you listen while I tell you what I found. I learned Beekman has a 21-year-old daughter.
Well, that's on the record.
She is a lovely red-haired girl. Men find her attractive.
So?
What have you learned of Beekman as a family man?
He's a good father.
He loves his children?
Do anything for them. Beekman worked like a dog to keep his family together, even when his back was killing him.
In short, he's an old-fashioned, possessive father.
Well, I don't know about that, but...
Let me ask you this. What about the character of the dead man?
Weber? Well...
Yeah, exactly. Ed Beekman has a certain opinion of Gordon Weber. Whether Beekman's opinion is justified is beside the point. The point is, Beekman considered Weber a man of low moral character.
That's the polite way of putting it.
Exactly. Beekman hated Weber. We're concerned merely with the fact, not the reason for it. Now, Beekman loves his daughter. And again, we're interested merely in that fact. We're not interested as yet in whether or not the girl deserves her father's affection. Now, you have that picture. Beekman hates Weber. Beekman loves his daughter. Lieutenant, how would Beekman feel if he learned his beloved daughter had been working, for months, mind you, in a nightclub managed by Gordon Weber? And, Lieutenant, how would Beekman feel if he learned his daughter not only worked for Weber, but that she was fond of it?
What?
And not merely fond, Lieutenant. Infatuated. So completely infatuated, she made clandestine visits to Weber's apartment. How would Ed Beekman feel if he followed his daughter to Weber's apartment, went inside, found the child he loved with the man he hated? It happened. 2 witnesses saw Kate Beekman enter the dead man's apartment. A few moments later, they saw her father also enter that apartment. Then, a few minutes after, Kate Beekman ran out.
So it was Kate Beekman?
Of course she was there. I just told you. 2 witnesses.
No, I mean...
Now, don't dodge the issue, Halverson. You've got to admit I've found Beekman's motive. If Beekman had played his cards right, he'd have pleaded the unwritten law, but he has stubbornly maintained his innocence. And now, well, now I have my motive and... Oh, excuse me. Yes? Well, by all means, send him right in. It's Perry Mason.
Oh.
Hello, Halverson. Mason. Apt?
Sit down, Mason.
How's Beekman?
He's fine.
You want to see me privately, Mason?
No, I want Halverson to hear this. Apt, Ed Beekman is innocent. Now, you have evidence which appears to link Beekman with the crime.
Appears to. I'm not a fool, Mason.
No, I wouldn't be here if I thought you were. You're smart enough to know that your case is weak, in spite of your so-called evidence.
You don't seem to take my so-called evidence seriously.
It's serious, but it doesn't bother me.
Mason.
Just a minute, Lieutenant. Did Beekman explain, specifically, did he explain the presence of his fingerprints on the murder weapon?
He did.
How did they come to be there?
I'll give you that explanation at the proper time.
I say now is a good time. Tell me.
The information given his counsel by the accused is privileged, Apt. I'll tell you this. You will never bring Ed Beekman to trial.
Why?
Several reasons. One, you know as well as I. You don't have a motive.
Is that all?
And it'll do for a start. You know your case is weak. So let's not beat about the bush,
And what do you suggest?
Find the real murderer. Throw everything you and the police have into an investigation of Weber's associates. And I can give you a running start because I've already done some digging. Halverson here can tell you that.
In reference to an auto theft syndicate?
And there may be a connection between Weber's nightclub and the syndicate.
And Ed Beekman?
Beekman has been working so hard at Nicholas Importing, he hasn't had time to get off the track.
In other words, you'd like me to take off on a wild goose chase.
Apt. The logical place to look for the killer is among Weber's associates.
I don't quite agree with you. If I wanted to see the killer, I would go to City Jail, visit cell block 3 and cell number 27. I refer to Beekman's cell.
Apt, you will never bring Beekman to trial.
That's a matter of opinion. He's bluffing. I knew he was bluffing.
He's right.
Huh?
Mason is right. You'll never bring Beekman to trial.
You are a brilliant young police officer, Lieutenant, but may I remind
Mr. Rath,
you...
we developed latent prints at the crime lab.
What?
I had a hunch. I tried to figure why Beekman's prints are on the knife if he's innocent. The answer has to be that he put them there. Okay, why? Now I've got the answer. The fingerprints of a second person are on that knife. The prints of the second person are under Beekman's. In other words, Beekman picked up the knife and wiped it off, only he didn't do a good job, and he left his own prints on the knife. I didn't know who else was in the apartment until you said it's his daughter. We also got her prints on the doorknobs, bedroom door and front door.
In other words, the daughter killed Weber. And Beekman cleaned the knife in an attempt to shield her.
That's how it looks. I'll go pick her up.
Not so fast, Lieutenant. Now, let's look before we leave.
For what?
For a motive for her. Let's us do a little digging. Why don't you start at the nightclub?
Good idea. A fellow named August Jensen owns the place.
Get me Mr. August Jensen, owner of the nightclub Weber managed. Now, this is giving me quite a shock, Lieutenant. The more I think of it, the girl had a close relationship with Weber. Yes? Let me speak to Mr. Jensen, please. I see, out of town for the day. Oh, who's in charge, please? Miss Facina, in charge of entertainment? Will have your number? Yes, I have it, thank you. Jensen's out of town for the day, but Miss Facina is in charge of entertainment. Give me an outside line, please.
Wait a minute.
Yeah?
You going to see her?
No, I haven't time.
Let me, Mr. Rath.
Very well. Here, take the phone.
Miss Facina? Oh, my name is Lieutenant Halverson, Homicide Squad. Yes, I'm in charge of investigating the death of Gordon Weber. Miss Facina? Miss Facina?
And what is it?
She started bawling. Now, Miss Facina, I'd like to ask a few questions in reference to Miss Kate Beekman. Yes. Well, I'll come over now if that's all right. Thank you.
What did she say when you mentioned Kate Beekman?
She quit crying. I don't like to say I told you so, Mr. Rath, but if you'll remember, I said I didn't think that Beekman killed Weber. Only I didn't figure it would turn out like this. I didn't figure I'd clear Beekman by nailing his daughter.
Lieutenant, I don't like to say I told you so, but you said Mason's right. You said I won't bring Beekman to trial. I didn't say which Beekman. Now, did I, Lieutenant?
You know Kate Beekman is innocent. You know the real killer is Kate's false friend, Gus Jensen. But unless the district attorney learns some things you know, well, I can promise an important and unsuspected development tomorrow. So, by all means, join us, won't you? It's 11 in the morning, immediately after the close of our last episode, as Homicide Lieutenant Donald Halverson, acting on information secured by the district attorney, begins his investigation of Kate Beekman's role in the murder of Gordon Weber. More of Halverson's investigation in a few moments. Now,
outside the district attorney's office.
Perry?
All right, let's hurry, Della. Did you see Kate Beekman?
Yes, and I gave you your instructions. Did you see Mr. Rath?
Yeah.
Oh, no results?
Oh, I got results, but not what I expected. Oh, there's Paul Drake across the street. Come on, let's go.
Hi, Perry. Hello, beautiful.
Hi, Paul.
Stay in the car, Paul. You are going places.
What's up, Perry?
I spoke to Ed Beekman.
And?
Beekman has had no contact with Gordon Webber during the past year. He hasn't laid eyes on Gordy.
So he doesn't have an immediate motive for killing Gordy. Unless the DA learns that Beekman's daughter was in the murder apartment.
You checked with Kate's mother?
Yeah. Police haven't tried to see Kate.
So far.
What, Perry?
Apt has a case against Ed Beekman. His case is weak in regard to motive. So Apt would logically look for suspects among Webber's associates. I offered him the preliminary results of our investigation of the dead man, but Mr. Apt is not interested. He thinks he has a motive for Ed.
Is he running a bluff?
I don't think so.
Well, then maybe he knows that Kate was in Gordy's apartment.
Or maybe it's something else. Nobody's tried to question the girl.
Yes, it's possible Apt is being cute.
You mean he'll snoop around before he questions Kate, Chief?
Possibly. So find out, Paul. Learn what the DA and the police are up to.
So who's running the police end?
Don Halverson. Halverson is transferred from auto theft.
Halverson's a good guy.
Yes, whose first loyalty is to the DA, so you'll have to work undercover. Now learn what the DA is up to. Keep checking into Webber's background. Use all the men you need. Hire people from outside agencies if it's necessary.
You're going all out?
So are you.
It'll cut down on your social life.
But fatten up my bank account. Where'll I reach you to report?
Well, I'm going to speak to Kate personally now, so have one of your men follow me to make sure Apt isn't having me followed.
Right.
And phone me at Della's apartment at 1 o'clock. Phone at 1 o'clock, let it ring for 10 seconds, then hang up and dial back immediately.
Gotcha. Give you a lift?
No, we'll take a cab. All right, Della.
Various people are affected in various ways by the death of Gordon Webber. But Miss Tony Facina alone feels a sense of personal loss. Yet, in truth, Miss Facina's monumental grief is a bit, or even more than a bit, selfish. She had good times with Gordy. She got her job at the club through Gordy. So Gordy meant fun and prosperity. As a matter of fact, her sorrow for Gordy is as nothing compared to Miss Facina's deep and abiding sympathy for her own pretty self. Now, Miss Facina stands before the full-length mirror in her bedroom, notes how her stylish dress of deep mourning becomes her, examines the colorless polish on her nails with approval as...
Just a moment, please.
Miss Facina?
Yes. You're Lieutenant Donald Halverson. Come in, Lieutenant.
Thank you. Have we met, Miss Facina?
I saw you and your sergeant question me the night Gordon was killed.
Then we can dispense with showing my credentials unless...
You don't need to show them. Sit down, please.
Thanks. Are we alone, Miss Facina?
What do you mean?
Well, I understand that Webber's death means the loss of a close personal friend. Perhaps you called someone in to stay with you.
Oh. No, I haven't felt like seeing people since Gordy died. We're quite alone, Lieutenant. Mm-hmm. I'm all alone. All alone. Remember the song, Lieutenant? Gordy bought me a special arrangement of that song. It cost him $100. He gave me a lot of presents.
Miss Facina.
I almost phoned you, Lieutenant.
Why?
Because I was hurt. Your assistant wouldn't let me in Gordy's apartment.
Well, why would you
Just to be close to things he was close to.
Well, I'm sorry, but regulations are regulations.
Oh, I understand. Of course it is. It isn't your fault. Did you bring the list?
List?
Of Gordon's personal effects. Naturally, he wanted me to have them.
Well, I do have a list. Various items of jewelry, loose currency, keys to his safety deposit box.
Oh, I don't care what they are, Lieutenant. Little things mean so much to a woman. Even his wristwatch or those keys.
We can't open his safety deposit box until the state taxmen are present.
Oh?
And there'll be time later on for disposition of Webber's estate.
Then, what did you come for?
I want information about a club employee. You know Kate Beekman?
Why ask about her?
Do you object?
You answer a question with another question, Lieutenant.
Well, my job is asking questions. Do you object to giving me some answers about Miss Beekman?
I don't object, but I don't like talking about her.
Why?
Because her father killed the man I love.
Miss Facina.
Now look at me, Lieutenant. There isn't a mean bone in my body. I never hated anybody until I heard Gordy was dead. But that night, for just a little while, I hated Ed Beekman. Oh, you don't have to tell me I was wrong, but I couldn't help it. I loved Gordy with all my heart. And for a little while, I hated the man who killed him. And then, do you know what I did? I remembered Gordy. Gordy wouldn't want me to have hate in my heart. Not even for Ed Beekman.
Well, there was no love lost between Beekman and Weber.
That's what I'm saying. Do you know what Beekman did when he and Gordy got out of prison?
There was trouble between them.
Trouble? Now, Gordy was a little guy, but he had a great big heart. He wanted to help Beekman.
Beekman claims Gordy tried to rope him into a phony deal.
Beekman says that? Well, I guess a killer will say anything. I know the truth, Lieutenant. And the truth is Gordy tried to give him a break. Beekman pulled something crooked and Gordy cut him off. Yeah. And Beekman tried to kill Gordy with a bailing hook.
Beekman says Gordy pulled a knife.
No, Lieutenant. I saw the whole thing. That big gorilla tried to murder Gordy a year ago. But like I say, Gordy had a big heart, but there was no room for hate in it. Gordy just couldn't hold a grudge. What? Even after Ed Beekman did what he did, Gordy didn't stay mad. Not my Gordy. That sweet little guy said, you know what he said? He said, Tony, Beekman's what he is. He can't help it. But I'm not going to turn down his kid.
You mean Kate?
Sure.
Turn her down how?
When you came whining around for a job.
Let's talk about that, hmm?
What?
Miss Beekman working for Weber. Let's talk about Miss Beekman.
What's there to say? Her father killed Gordon. Why are you interested in her?
Well, I have to get some general background information.
Oh.
You know Miss Beekman?
Sure.
You know her well?
Yeah, I know her. She worked as my assistant.
I understand that she's a smart, hard-working girl.
Where do you understand that?
From a previous employer. She worked as a model.
I remember. She never let you forget it. Lieutenant, I don't know how she did on her other jobs. For all I know, she could model a new dress like anybody's business. But I know how she worked for me. Well, never mind. Just never mind.
Are you saying that she didn't work hard?
I'd rather not say.
Why?
Because I don't like talking behind a girl's back, and what difference does it make?
Background information.
I wish you didn't have to ask me about her. I just don't like talking behind her back.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid you'll have to. What information I have indicates that Miss Beekman is a nice, conscientious kid.
You got that from the man she used to work for?
That's right.
I've heard her talk about Mr. Ritchie. I mean, laugh about him. But if the guy likes her well enough to say she's a sweet, decent kid, who am I to call him a liar?
I'll tell you who you are, miss. You're being asked questions by a cop investigating a murder case. So if you can give me the truth about Kate Beekman...
I know things. I know plenty.
Then start talking.
I don't want to, Lieutenant.
I'm sorry.
Well, you're making me do this. I hate to talk about any girl behind her back. But you asked for it, Lieutenant. All right. I'll tell you about Kate Beekman.
You know Kate Beekman is a sweet, innocent girl. But as you also know, Tony Facina has a jealous hatred of Kate. Tony's hatred could make her believe evil things of the girl. And if Tony believes evil and speaks evil things of Kate, Tony Facina could be convincing. By all means, hear tomorrow's important and disturbing development. It's immediately after the close of our last episode, when Miss Tony Facina carefully arranges the folds of her brand new dress of deep mourning, looked Lieutenant Donald Halverson squarely in the eye, and agreed to tell him the truth about Ed Beekman's daughter. But Don has no reason to suspect Tony Facina would like to injure Ed Beekman's daughter. He doesn't know Tony was viciously jealous of Kate Beekman while Gordy Weber was alive, or that the acid of jealousy has etched lines of hatred on Tony's heart. And Tony herself, clever in the ways of designing women, is most careful not to reveal her true feeling in regard to Kate. Now...
Okay, Miss Facina, let's have it. My notebook is full of empty pages.
Pure, clean, white pages. Like you've heard Kate Beekman is a pure, innocent girl. You know, I've heard of secret writing, Lieutenant. Something or someone can look pure and innocent until you know what the secret writing says.
You know any secrets in regard to Kate Beekman?
Yeah. I'll have to go back to the trouble between her father and Gordon Weber.
I'm not too interested in what you can say about Ed Beekman.
What?
Ed Beekman is under arrest, charged with killing the man you say you loved.
I did love him. I still do. I start crying whenever I think about him.
Now, Miss, you feel you have every reason to hate Ed Beekman. Now, you say you don't dislike his daughter.
No, I'm sorry for her. Just as I'd be sorry for any girl who... Forgive me, Lieutenant. Have you got a handkerchief?
Yes, of course. Yes, here we are.
Thanks. I guess the best way to start is by telling you how Gordon happened to meet Kate Beekman. It was last year sometime.
This was after Weber's run-in with Kate's father.
Yeah. Well, one afternoon, it was late afternoon, Gordy saw a girl and a boy having an argument on the street. Maybe I better tell you something about Gordy first. Gordy was a little guy, but he had a feeling for the underdog. And he was kind-hearted. No, you can hear different, but you can take it from me. Gordy stood up for his own rights, but he was the sweetest, kindest guy you ever walked. Well, he saw this girl and boy having a brawl in the street corner. Now, at first, they were just yelling at each other. Then all of a sudden, she hauled off and clouted him.
She hit him first?
And then tried to scratch his eyes out. Well, naturally, the boy got mad, and he started manhandling her. Until Gordy stepped in. He taught the fellow a lesson. And that's how Gordy met Kate Beekman.
Gordy had never seen her before.
No. You could have knocked him over with a feather when you told him her name. Mm-hmm. Well, she gives him a song and dance about the fellow got fresh with her, and she was only trying to defend herself. Well, Gordy saw the whole thing, but he didn't make an issue of it. So later, he went to see the boy. And what the boy told Gordy was a little different from Miss Katie's tale of woe. According to the boy, she kept flirting with him. But he was engaged to be married, see? And he asked Miss Katie to quit waving flags at him, and she started a brawl.
Who is the boy?
Oh, his name's, wait a minute, I'll remember. Pudge something or other.
Pudge, You have his address?
I don't know. Gordy must have put it down somewhere because he sent the boy some money to get fixed up.
Fixed up how?
Well, he was a lot bigger than Gordy, so Gordy had to get rough when they had the brawl.
I see.
Well, right after that, Gordy started managing the night. And who shows up but Miss Beekman?
At the club?
Uh-huh.
For what?
Trying to get a job. And for the first time since I knew him, Gordy was ready to turn somebody down. He came to me.
About a job for Miss Beekman?
Yeah, that's right. That sounds funny to you, huh?
Oh, I'm just a little curious.
Look, Lieutenant, a lot of people didn't like Gordy. But the people who didn't like him didn't really know him. I saw a side of Gordy he was ashamed to let anybody else see. Gordy didn't want Kate Beekman in his club. But at the same time, he didn't want to turn her down because he had that trouble with her father.
Well, how'd that figure in?
They had trouble only because Gordon wanted to do something for Ed Beekman. But he wasn't mad at Ed because Ed tried to double-cross him. Gordon was sorry for Ed Beekman. So when Beekman's daughter asked for a job, Gordy figured this could be a chance to help the girl. Gordon already knew she was headed in the wrong direction, but he felt he had a chance to get her back on the track.
So he gave her a job,
Well, he asked me about her. See, Gordy was afraid a kid like her, working in a club. He was afraid she'd be in trouble, so big-hearted me. I stuck my neck out.
You?
Yeah. I told Gordy I'd let her help me, and I'd keep an eye on her. So she came to work. She had a good line. She used to be a dancer or something, only she was hurt in an accident. I understand her state was drinking. I don't know he was, and I don't know she was.
Does she do much drinking?
Not so you'd notice it.
What's that mean?
She's a real cagey kid, Lieutenant. You'd think she was sweet as pie until you got to know her. I never saw her take a drink. I never saw her get fresh with any of the customers. Of course, everybody saw the play she made for August Jensen. He owns the place. Mm-hmm. I could give you more details, Lieutenant, but maybe you get the idea, huh?
Well, I'm getting a picture.
Yeah. The picture of Ed Beekman's daughter. Well, what can you expect? A daughter of a killer. She can't help being what she is because she can't help what her father is.
Now, Mr. Simmons.
My Gordy tried to help Kate Beekman, and her father killed him. I tried to help her, too. No wonder her father didn't kill me. Ed Beekman's a snake, Lieutenant. He killed a man who tried to help his own child.
Mr. Simmons.
I wouldn't have told you what I did about her. But I want you to see how bad she needed help. But Ed Beekman couldn't stand it.
That's enough.
Well, I was only going to
If
say...
it's more about Ed Beekman, don't.
All right, Lieutenant.
If you have any more details in reference to the girl, I'll be glad to listen.
Well, maybe I can remember a few more things to tell you, Lieutenant.
Meanwhile, as Tony Facina thinks up more truth to tell about Ed Beekman's daughter, in another part of the city, Perry Mason checks with a private operative following him. The operative signals the lawyer is not being followed by police or agents of the district attorney. Now, a moment later, Mason follows Della Street into Della's apartment.
Yes, it's me, Katie.
Me too, Kate.
Oh, hello, Mr. Mason.
Hi.
Well, I've been working very hard remembering the people I saw in the nightclub. I've got a long list.
All right, we'll go over it.
I think you've been working in the kitchen, too.
I'm cooking a tuna souffle. Oh, I hope you haven't had lunch.
No. As a matter of fact, there wasn't time to start.
Mr. Mason?
Mm-hmm.
How is Pa?
He's all right.
I wish I was in jail instead of him. If I go to the police and tell
No,
them...
Katie. Absolutely not. Anyway, not yet. Think of this for a moment. You say you got along with the people who work in the nightclub.
Yes, sir.
Even with Gordy Weber.
Yes. Why
Did you have trouble with anyone? Well, not big trouble. An argument or a feud over something.
No. Why do you ask, Mr. Mason?
Because I want to know if any of those people would have it in for you. I have a good reason for asking.
What?
I'll tell you that later, if it's necessary. I hope it won't be. You didn't have personal differences.
No. Really, Tony and the chef and Mr. Jensen, they were all very nice to me.
Who's Tony, Kate?
Oh, she's in charge of entertainment. She was very nice. She went out of her way
And none of them has it in for you.
Well, not so far as I know, Mr. Mason. Why, Tony even said... Well, I don't like to repeat it, but... Well, she said she thought of me as a real friend right from the first. Oh, my goodness.
What is it?
Well, I've got to take that souffle out of the oven. It'll be ready to eat in just a minute. I mean, if you can't eat it.
Now, who could dislike that girl, Perry?
I don't know, Della. But I have seen nice people hurt by enemies they hadn't earned. Enemies they didn't even know existed. The hidden enemy is the most dangerous of all. You can't protect yourself.
Miss Reed, I can't find the napkin.
Oh, I'll come help you, honey. I just hope she doesn't really need help.
Ed Beekman's daughter is going to need all the help she can get because Tony Facina is not Kate's only hidden enemy. She has another, and even more deadly enemy, Gus Jensen, the man who killed Gordon Weber. There'll be an important and exciting development in our next episode, so by all means join us, won't you?
It's 1 in the afternoon.
as Homicide Lieutenant Don Halverson listens to Miss Tony Facina. Here's Tony pour out her jealous hatred of Kate Beekman under the pretense of telling Halverson the truth about Kate. More of that in a few moments. First, in another part of the city, where Perry Mason, Della Street, and Kate Beekman are in the kitchen of Della's apartment.
Oh, can't you eat any more souffle, Miss Street?
Oh, not one more bite, Katie.
Yeah, it was delicious, Katie. You're a very good cook.
Thanks. Oh, I'll do the dishes, Miss Street.
Well, suppose you leave them for a moment. Do you want to get that list of names, Katie?
Oh, I put it right here, Mr. Mason.
All right. You saw these people with Gordy Weber in the nightclub?
Yes, sir. Well, I only saw some of them once or twice, but these, where I made a little check mark, see, I saw them often. But, well, some of them, like these...
Wait.
Aren't you going to answer, Miss Street?
If it's Paul Drake, honey, he'll hang up and ring back.
Oh.
I told Paul to ring the phone, then hang up and call back in a few seconds. So.
I'll answer that just in case.
Now, let's see, Katie. Now, what about the names you pointed out here?
Well, I didn't know their full names. Like the man Mr. Weber called Goldie. And here, a man called Rocco. I'm sorry, but I just don't know their full names.
Well, this will help, Katie. I'll take this list with me and... Oh, yes, Della?
Paul hasn't learned a thing, so he can't even locate Halverson.
Lieutenant Halverson is police officer in charge of the murder investigation, Katie.
Oh, but Paul says he'll keep trying.
All right.
Mr. Mason, is it something you can tell me? Well, I'll understand if you don't want to.
Well, Katie, we have reason to believe the district attorney stumbled onto something. It's possible Mr. Rath knows that you were in Gordy's place when he was killed.
Oh? But how could he? Nobody saw me.
You don't think anyone saw you? Are you certain?
No. No, I'm not certain, but what does it mean if he does know?
Well, right off the bat, it'll make the DA very much interested in you. Mr. Rath could do one of two things. He could order you brought in for questioning immediately, or he could ask the police to ask questions.
About me?
Yes, Katie, about you. And apparently that is what is going on, because the police haven't been to your home looking for you yet. Naturally, I would prefer Apt to come out in the open.
Instead of snooping.
Oh. The police are asking questions about me?
Well, that's how it looks.
And that's why you asked if I had an enemy at the club. Someone who'd want to cause trouble. It makes me feel... I'm scared.
Honey, we don't know the police are investigating you.
Even if they might be, I have the strangest feeling when I think of the police investigating me.
Kate, now you're safe here in Miss Street's apartment, at least for now. I won't ask you not to worry.
Thank you. I can't help worrying.
No, of course.
And not just about me, Mr. Mason. Does Ma know? And Pa? Do they know that police are asking questions about me?
No, not yet.
Please don't tell them, Mr. Mason. Not unless you just have to, because they would worry.
Will you be all right, Katie?
Yes. I'm foolish to be afraid. I don't like the police asking questions about me, but... Well, I'm certain nobody will tell them anything about me that isn't true. So I am foolish to be afraid. See, I'm over it already. I'm not nervous at all.
Well, anyone, especially an innocent young girl, would naturally feel a stab of worry on learning she's the object of a possible police investigation. And as you know, Perry Mason has guessed the truth. Kate Beekman is under investigation. A few moments ago, Homicide Lieutenant Halverson left Miss Tony Facina's apartment. Now, inside Tony's apartment...
Hello, desk clerk. This is Miss Facina. I gave Jimmy an order 30 minutes ago. Don't tell me when I gave him the order. Thank you very much. Well, it took him long enough. Where have you been? Oh.
Expecting someone, Tony?
Well, I wasn't expecting Gus Jensen.
Well, but since I'm here, aren't you going to invite me in?
Oh, sure. Come in, Gus. What are you doing back in town, huh?
I came back for Gordy's funeral.
You?
Does that surprise you, Tony?
Yeah.
Tony, Gordy and I had our differences, but we were friends in spite of it.
Differences? Well, that's one word for it.
You understand, Tony. You and Gordy had fights.
Well,
And yet you were devoted. I want you to know you have my deepest sympathy, Tony.
Well, thanks a lot. I guess I should apologize for the way I look, but everything happened at once.
Don't say another word, Tony. I understand. Believe me.
I can't even sleep at night. Gus, I don't care if you believe me or not. I love that little guy.
I believe you.
Yeah? I can't ever tell with you. But I don't care if nobody believes me. I did love him. There'll never be another guy for me like Gordy.
Now, Tony.
You know what I'd like to do? If they'd let me? I'd like to be there when they strap Ed Beekman in the electric chair. Right in front of him. And then you know what I'd do? I'd laugh at him. I'd laugh at him.
Now, tell me some other time, will you? I need your signature on these.
What?
Various items Gordy assigned title to you.
What?
Merely routine business, Tony.
I don't know anything about it.
Well, of course you do. You signed papers for Gordy.
Maybe a couple of times. He just stuck a paper under my face and said, sign it, so I did.
Now I'm sticking papers in front of you to sign. Now go on and sign them.
Not now, Gus.
You're going to argue, Tony?
I just don't feel like doing it now. What are those papers?
Papers you'll sign. Now.
Oh, listen, Gus, have a heart, huh? That cop was here throwing questions at me till I'm groggy.
A cop, who?
Oh, Halverson. Lieutenant Halverson. He's a good-looking guy.
Just routine questions, Tony?
Yeah. He asked me about Kate Beekman.
About Kate? What?
Just background information. I gave him background information. I gave him an earful. I didn't mind burning her up. But now I'm tired, Gus. I don't want to talk about papers.
We don't talk. You just sign. But, Tony, you sure Halverson was making a routine check?
I guess so. How do I know? Listen, I'm sick of guys popping in here and throwing questions at me. Reporters and police lieutenants in and out of here. I don't like it.
Hey, wait a minute. Who is it?
The bellboy with my bottle of gin. Now, let go of me.
Hello, Miss Messina.
Well, you've got your nerve waltzing in here saying, hello, Miss Messina. Where'd you go for the gin, England? All right, Jimmy, give it to me. Thank you, Jimmy. Goodbye, Jimmy. Well, get your foot out of the door.
That'll be $6.
Here, I'll sign the ticket.
I'm sorry, but the manager said definitely no more credit.
Oh, all right, here's the money. You'll have to give me change.
Yes, ma'am. Say, did I see Lieutenant Halverson coming out of your place?
There, Gus. You see what I mean?
Jimmy.
Oh, in the DA's office. He's a right guy. I'm talking about the lieutenant, not Mr. Rath.
Are you in trouble, sir?
Me? No. This is off the record. See, Marion and I are witnesses. Marion's my girl. You know Marion, Miss Messina, works in the coffee shop.
Witnesses to what?
Well, I'm not supposed to say, but... Well, Marion and I saw a girl go in Mr. Weber's apartment. I mean, the night he got killed.
Gus, are you going to stand there gabbing all
Wait
day?
a minute.
Well,
Jimmy, you saw a girl?
Oh, yes, sir.
Who?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm not allowed to say. Maybe I've said too much already.
You haven't said anything, Jimmy, not really. Oh, just a moment.
No, I got to go.
Miss Messina forgot to give you a tip. Here you are.
Oh, thanks a lot. Hey, thanks. And I mean it.
Take your girl to the show.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Thanks again, mister.
what's the idea of giving him a $20 bill?
Because I pay for information.
Huh?
Use your brains, Tony. Use your brains. The girl he saw was Kate Beekman.
So that's why Lieutenant Halverson
Yes.
was... But Ed Beekman killed Gordy. What if Kate wasn't?
Either Kate Beekman or her father killed the little guy.
Oh.
And, Tony, it looks as if, very much as if Kate Beekman is the killer. Now, get out of here, will you? I want to use your telephone.
Kate Beekman recovered from her momentary fear. But if Kate could see into the future, if she knew the thoughts in Gus Jensen's warped, clever brain, Kate would know true terror. Gus Jensen is a psychopath, a killer. He killed Gordy Weber. And now Gus thinks of Kate Beekman. Not thoughts of killing her himself. Other thoughts. By all means, join us on Monday, won't you? It's early afternoon. shortly after the close of our last episode, as Gus Jensen confers with crime boss J.T. Doherty, tells J.T. the police are secretly investigating Kate Beekman's role in the murder of Gordy Weber, and how Gus plans to make the suspicion of Kate even stronger. More of Gus Jensen's secret plot against the innocent girl in a few moments. First...
Officer Perry Mason. I'm sorry, Mr. Mason's at lunch. Oh, it's you, Mr. Drake. What? Mr. Drake, if I couldn't keep a secret, I couldn't keep my job. Sure, I got a pencil. Go ahead and give me the message. That's the secret? I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Drake. It's still a secret. What does it mean? Oh, it's a secret. Goodbye, Mr. Drake. Yeah?
Mr. Mason's back from lunch, Gertie. Any messages?
Mr. Drake phoned not 2 seconds ago.
Oh, what is it?
I'd better come in and tell you and Mr. Mason's in private.
What?
It's a secret. I'll come in Mr. Mason's private office and tell you.
Okay, Gertie.
Watch the switchboard for me, Thelma. Hello, Mr. Mason.
Hello, Gertie. What did Paul say?
He was awful mysterious, Mr. Mason.
Well, you don't need to be mysterious, Gertie. What's the message?
I was just explaining. Mr. Drake swore me to secrecy.
Gertie.
Yes, sir. Here's the message. Mr. Drake says those fellows are up to something. He doesn't know what, but he thinks you'd be smart to get a certain person clear out of town.
Is that all?
He made me promise not to repeat the message to anybody but you. The message he gave me, it doesn't mean anything. Do you know what it means, Del?
I'm afraid so, Gertie. Thank you.
Then it does mean something. Oh, I guess Mr. Drake didn't want to hurt my feelings. So he gave me the message in code. Gee, Mr. Mason, he ought to know I can keep a secret. You believe I'll keep a secret, don't you, Mr. Mason?
Yes, sure I do, Gertie.
I'm not asking you to tell me what it's all about, but I'd sure hate it if you didn't trust me, Mr. Mason.
You want to know what it means, Gertie?
Yeah, but only if you want to tell me.
Kate Beekman's father is under arrest for the murder of Gordon Weber. But her father is innocent.
Oh, I know that.
How?
The newspaper said Mr. Mason says he's innocent. So he's innocent.
Oh, thank you, Gertie. Now, a second innocent person is involved.
Oh.
Now, this other innocent person could have been in the apartment when Weber was killed, but he or she was there innocently.
The cops don't know he or she was even there.
What makes you say that?
Well, I've been reading the papers. Nobody else has been mentioned. So, no news is good news, huh? Or isn't it? Maybe the district attorney is sneaking around and asking questions. If that's what Mr. Drake meant. Those fellas are up to something. Huh? You know something, Mr. Mason? The more questions I ask, the less I know.
Why, Gertie.
So, maybe it wouldn't be a good idea for me to know the secret, huh?
Maybe.
Uh-huh. Okay, but I'm going to say something. I know Ed Beekman's mixed up in it, and that's no secret because I read the paper.
Okay, Gertie,
I haven't said what I was going to. If Mr. Beekman's mixed in, and he's innocent, like you say, then I hope you prove it right out in public. Because Mr. Beekman's nice, and so is she, and so is their daughter. So, take care of them, huh, Mr. Mason?
I'll do my best, Gertie.
Thanks a lot for explaining, Mr. Mason.
All right, you're welcome.
You going to explain to me, Perry?
Well, you know the facts as well as I do. You want my opinion?
Yes.
The district attorney is up to something, as Paul says.
You agree it's smart to get Kate out of town?
Half smart. You see, Della, if Apt wants Kate merely as a witness, I might be smart to send her away, but, well, I'm not going to sit here and play guessing games. Gertie, get me an immediate appointment with the district attorney.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to force Mr. Apt to come out in the open.
Meanwhile, in the apartment of Miss Tony Facina, Gus Jensen finishes his telephone conversation with J.T. Doherty.
Yes, Yes, I'm in Tony's apartment, J.T. Oh, look, I can handle her. Now, Tony doesn't think with her brain. She thinks with her heart. If she feels a certain way, she'll act a certain way. I can handle her, J.T. Well, let me get started before she has too much to drink. Yeah. Yeah, I'll let you know. Tony?
Yeah?
Okay if I come in?
You stay where you are. I'll come out. Well, go on, look at it. It's a bottle of gin.
Yes, I see it is, Tony.
And this is a glass. I'm going to pour some gin out of the bottle into the glass, then out of the glass into me. Or maybe I won't bother with the glass, huh? Maybe I'll take it straight out of the bottle and save time. What do you mean, Gus?
Tony.
What's the idea of saying what you did, then sending me into the bedroom?
I had to make a phone call, Tony.
Did you make it?
Why, yes.
Are you all through talking now?
I'm sorry you had to wait, Tony.
This'll only take a minute. Did she do it, Gus?
Oh, Kate Beekman.
Did she kill Gordy? That's all I want to know. Just tell me yes or no, Gus. Did she kill him?
Tony, no matter who killed
Just tell me yes or no. That's real simple, Gus. It ain't fancy or complicated. Just tell me if she killed him.
I'm not going to tell you anything, Tony. You won't listen.
Give me a yes or no.
Not until you're ready to listen, Tony. Because it isn't as simple as yes or no.
Oh, yes, it is. Come on. Gus, you gotta tell me. You got to.
Tony, I don't have to do anything. I want to answer your question, but first you'll have to put down that bottle.
Why?
Because we're going to Gordy's funeral in a little while.
I don't feel up to it.
You'll go and you'll go sober. And you'll listen while I tell you this. So put the bottle down. Now put it down, Tony.
Yeah?
Now, Tony, no matter who killed the little guy, we let the cops and the district attorney handle it. We'll help them if we can. Because the little guy was our friend, and because we have our duty as citizens. But we let the law get even with whoever killed him.
Why? Just tell me that. If Kate Beekman did it, why can't I pay her back?
You didn't feel this way when you thought her father killed Gordy.
Sure I did.
No, you wanted to see Ed Beekman paid off, but you didn't feel like this. Why this special feeling for Kate?
There are things about Kate Beekman.
And?
Things about her and Gordy.
Yes, well, before we talk about that, you've got to get this through your head. We let the law pay her back.
Then it was her.
Tony, what did you tell the cop who asked you about Kate Beekman?
What?
You tell the cops about her and, Gordy?
No. No, I told him Gordy tried to help Ed Beekman's daughter, then Beekman turns around and kills Gordy. I didn't know she killed him.
Neither did the cops. And you didn't help change their minds. You didn't give them a reason why she killed him. You didn't give her a motive.
Why should I? I didn't know she did it. And what difference does it make?
The DA has to have a motive.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Now, listen.
I don't want to. I know all I need to...
Shut up, Tony.
You're hurting me.
Now, listen, Tony, listen. If Kate killed Gordy, you wanted to pay for it, don't you? Why let her off easy?
Easy? I'll take the pistol Gordy gave me and blow her head off.
Then it's all over. Wouldn't you like to spread it out, Tony? Don't you want her to pay and keep paying? Have her know she's going to fry in the chair but make her live for days and weeks before it happens? Wouldn't you like to see her locked behind bars while she waits for the axe to fall? She'd look like an old woman by the time they put her in the death house. She'd look old, Tony. Old and ugly. That's really paying her back. Isn't that what you want?
Yeah. Tell me what to do.
All you have to do is remember a few things. You'll remember more easily when we go to the funeral.
What?
Don't be puzzled, Tony, and don't worry. We'll go to the little guy's funeral. We'll sit together, and I'll help you. And I'm certain you'll remember. And, Tony, when you remember the proper things, it'll be simple, I promise you. You'll pay her back, kid. You'll pay her back with interest.
What do you think is the plan in Gus Jensen's warped, clever brain? What does Gus want Tony Facina to remember? And what will Tony's memory mean to Kate Beekman? More of this tomorrow. So by all means, join us, won't you? It's early afternoon, immediately after the close of our last episode, as Perry Mason drives quickly to the office of the district attorney. As you know, Mason is disturbed by rumors that Mr. Apt is conducting a secret investigation in the matter of Gordon Webber's murder. And Perry is determined to force Mr. Apt to come out in the open. More of Perry Mason in a few moments. First, for another secret development. In the apartment of Tony Facina, Miss Facina looks at Gus Jensen.
Gus.
We'll be late for the funeral, Tony.
Gus, did you mean it? When you said Kate Beekman will go to the chair for killing Gordy?
I meant every word. If Kate Beekman killed the little guy, she'll go on trial. And she'll be found guilty, and she'll go to the chair where she'll fry for killing him.
If?
You knew about them better than anyone, didn't you?
If.
If you know she did, she'll never be free from the moment they take her in, because they'll slam the door. The steel door, Tony.
And the other stuff you said. The way she'll look.
She'll lose her looks, if you know she did it. She's a very pretty girl. Yeah, she is, Tony. She's very lovely. You've seen men turn their heads to look at her. You saw Gordy look at her.
Gordy never looked at her like that. Don't say it.
Well, the fact remains she's a beautiful girl now. But she'll change. She won't be pretty anymore. No man will give her a second glance if the district attorney and the judge and jury take her over the jumps.
You say if.
Mm-hmm.
She killed Gordy.
But even if she killed him, the law won't pay her back unless you help them.
How can I?
I told you. By remembering.
What?
Things that happened. I know how you feel. This is all new, and you have to get your bearings. Now, put down the bottle, Tony.
Why?
Because the stuff in the bottle makes you remember things that didn't happen.
And going to the funeral will make me remember things that did.
I'm sure of it. Don't you want to go?
No.
Tony, you say you love the little guy.
I did.
You told the police you love him. They'll think it's strange if you don't go.
I don't care what they think.
And you don't care what happens to Kate Beekman.
I want to see her get old and ugly like you said.
And aren't you willing to help?
Sure, but
it won't be easy. Everyone thinks of her as a sweet innocent and a very beautiful girl. Everyone likes her, Tony.
Not everyone. Not me. What'll I tell them, Gus?
The truth, Tony. You have to remember things you know are true.
You keep saying that.
I can't say it too often. You've got to tell the absolute truth when you talk to the district attorney. The district attorney's hard to fool. He'll catch on if you lie to him. So you have to tell the truth. What you believe.
I believe Kate Beekman killed Gordy.
That's important. But more than believing, you've got to know. You've got to remember. So you remember. And at the funeral, you'll remember other things that happened. I know you will. True things. Then you can help the district attorney.
I'll finish dressing.
Well, hurry, Tony. Oh, and bring your umbrella, will you? It looks as if it's going to rain.
Meanwhile, in the district attorney's office, Mr. Apt doesn't know Tony Facina is being groomed to help his case against Kate Beekman. And Mr. Apt is bothered. The case of Gordon Webber's murder looked cut and dried at first. But now Mr. Apt is bothered. And he isn't reassured by a visit from defense attorney Perry Mason. However, as a matter of personal policy, Mr. Apt tries to conceal any doubts or misgivings he may have. So when Perry Mason and his secretary enter Mr. Apt's office...
Come in, Mr. Mason.
Hello, Apt.
Good morning.
Ah, Miss Street, you're looking radiant, my dear, simply radiant. Sit down, won't you?
Thank you.
I hope you're feeling well, but I don't need to ask. I'm sure you're feeling well.
Are you, Mr. Apt?
Why, yes. Aren't you feeling well?
Oh, I feel fine.
I knew it. Can't afford to make mistakes.
Well, everyone does.
Not the district attorney. Not this district attorney. Well, what can I do for you, Mason?
I came to see you about several mistakes.
Oh? Whose?
Yours.
Are you serious, Mason?
Nevermore. You haven't made a move to get an indictment against Ed Beekman.
Beekman is under arrest. He's in jail, charged with suspicion of murder.
But you haven't taken the first step toward getting an indictment.
Those things take time, Mason.
You've had time.
That's ridiculous. The law clearly states the district attorney is entitled to sufficient time to prepare his case and get his evidence before going to the grand jury. What do you mean, mistake?
Della?
Just a moment, Chief. I have them right here.
What?
Some newspaper clippings, Mr. Rath.
Newspaper clip?
Yes, several from each of the large daily papers. For example, this one from the Record. This is the day following Gordon Weber's murder and Ed Beekman's arrest for the crime, and this clipping lists the overwhelming, incontrovertible evidence against Ed Beekman, a murderer. Your words, Mr. Rath. Della?
Here's the next one, Chief.
Now, this clipping is from the Daily Blade. The day following Beekman's arrest. Here is your statement. I quote, Beekman is guilty of Weber's murder. The accused made no effort to explain the evidence against him, even under close interrogation. Close quote. There are other clippings from other papers. They all added to the same conclusion. Your conclusion, Beekman is guilty, and you had your case when you arrested Beekman. Now's the time to fire or fall back, Mr. Rath.
What do you mean?
Well, do you deny these clippings?
Certainly not. Oh, they may have quoted me out of context.
But everything you said was true.
Certainly.
Then why haven't you started the ball rolling?
I'll prosecute Beekman at my own discretion.
Why are you stalling?
You say I'm stalling. I say I have to prepare my case.
You have your case, according to the newspapers. Della?
Never mind the clipping.
No, I just wanted to read to you
It's a waste of time, Mason. I'll handle this in my own way, and I won't allow you to dictate the manner.
All right, Mr. Rath, all right. I haven't said a word. Yet. Now, I'm going to use the same weapon you have used, the press.
What's that?
You like to try your cases in the newspapers, but you went off half-cocked when you said you had Beekman dead to rights.
So you say.
And so I will say to the newspapers.
Isn't that underhanded, Mason?
You started it, and you can spike my guns by prosecuting Ed Beekman. I think you're stalling, and I intend to say so to everyone who will listen.
Yes. But tell Lieutenant Halverson to wait. I'm busy.
Not with me. I'm leaving.
Wait, Mason.
I put my cards on the table. Now it's your deal. Come on, Della.
Oh, Mason, Miss Street.
How are you, Lieutenant?
Come in, Lieutenant.
Oh, Mason had fire in his eye.
He's crowding me.
Mason's a good fighter.
All right, Lieutenant. You get something?
Maybe, but not what you want. Kate Beekman worked for Miss Tony Facina at the nightclub, and according to Miss Facina, the girl isn't the sweet, lovable thing that she pretends to be.
That's exactly what I want.
Uh-huh, but that's all. Miss Facina did not suggest any reason why Kate Beekman would kill Weber.
You ask her?
Of course not. I let her talk.
Ah.
Of course, Beekman had a motive.
What?
Kate went to Weber's place. He got hard to handle, so she lost her head and killed him. Her father followed her, saw what had happened, wiped the kid's fingerprints off the murder weapon, and left his own.
Halverson, don't you know what a good defense lawyer could do to that? No jury in the world would blame Ed Beekman for protecting his daughter. The jury probably wouldn't blame the girl for protecting herself. Mason would get her off with justified homicide. Well, that'd make me look. I've gone on record saying Beekman is guilty.
He didn't kill Weber.
That doesn't matter. Not if I substitute the real killer.
The girl?
I mean murder in the first degree.
You'll never do it.
Are you working against me, Lieutenant?
I'm just stating facts, Mr. Rath. You'll never get a first-degree conviction until you get a motive for her.
Ah.
And you'll never get a motive.
That girl's pulled the wool over your eyes.
I never saw her. It's the other way around, Mr. Rath. That kid has pulled the wool over a lot of people's eyes, according to Miss Facina, but that doesn't make her guilty of murder in the first degree.
I want to see Miss Facina.
Now? She's at the funeral.
Go pick her up at the funeral. I want to question her.
Why?
Because I'm in an uncomfortable position and I mean to get out. Perhaps Miss Facina can help.
Well, I talked to her.
Just do as I asked, will you, Lieutenant? And do it now. I want to see Miss Facina.
As you know, Gus Jensen, the man who killed Gordy Weber, is preparing Tony Facina to do just what Mr. Apt hopes she can do. And if Gus succeeds, well, you'll join us tomorrow, won't you? It's mid-afternoon. Shortly after Perry Mason hurled a calculated challenge to the district attorney in regard to Gordon Weber's killer. Now, some distance from Mr. Apt's office.
Well, there it is.
What, Chief?
Last services for Gordon Weber are being held across the street.
Oh, we going?
No.
Well, then why are we here?
Ah, there's Paul.
What's the matter with Paul? He looks unhappy. Hi, Paul.
Oh, hi, beautiful. Perry.
Get in, Paul. Well, how's it going?
Very fine turnout. Very big affair. Weber's getting the best send-off money can buy.
And?
Well, I've been counting noses personally, like you said so far. Now, here, you can see for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the list of people Kate Beekman spotted at Weber's nightclub. So far, over half of the list have shown up.
You know any of them, Paul?
A few by reputation. There's the fast money boys. There's the club employees, maitre d', the chef, the entertainment manager. Say, how come you pulled me off the real job, Perry? If I had a little more time, I know I could learn what the DA's up to.
Well, we don't have time.
Sorry I didn't get results fast enough, but I did the best I could, Perry.
Oh, yes, I know you did, Paul. However, I have just paid Mr. Apt a visit.
What?
You see, Paul, Apt boxed himself in when he said he was convinced Ed Beekman killed Weber. He nailed on the lid when he made public the evidence against Ed. Apt said he had a cut-and-dried case, but he hasn't followed up.
Oh, Beekman's only been arrested a few days.
Paul, at the same time Apt said that he was guilty, I said Beekman was innocent. And believe me, Mr. Apt would not have wasted a second proving me wrong if he was on solid ground.
Yeah.
But Apt hasn't said another word to the papers. He has not taken action to go before the grand jury. Why?
He's up to something.
Yeah, well, now we quit beating around the bush. I am going to state publicly I think he's stalling.
Well, how about if he's investigating Kate Beekman?
I'll crowd him out in the open before he's ready. He'll have to justify himself for not following up on Ed.
I think you've got him in a corner.
He did that to himself. Now, I will learn what he's up to. Meanwhile, you concentrate on the dead man's associates, and that's why I wanted you to see these people personally.
I got it. What about Kate Beekman?
Oh, she'll stay in Della's apartment for the time being. Look, Paul, Apt stuck his foot in his mouth when he said Ed Beekman was guilty. Now, say that he has learned Ed's daughter was in the murder apartment. Apt is still chewing on his foot because Kate had no motive for killing Weber.
Well, why not let him spin his wheels looking for it?
That's wasting time. And the more time Apt wastes, the harder it's going to be to find the real killer. And even though Kate has no motive, if Apt keeps looking, he might find well, I'm going to see a newspaper man who is a friend of mine and set Mr. Apt on the right track.
Meanwhile, inside the chapel, where Gordon Weber is getting the best send-off money can buy, a man and a woman sit well back in the shadows. The woman is dressed in deep mourning. A veil covers her face. Her head is bowed. The man beside her looks at the young woman with gentle sympathy, touches her hand reassuringly.
You all right, Tony? Tony?
Quiet, Gus.
I'm sorry I didn't know you were listening to the service.
I'm not.
Hmm?
I'm doing what you said. I'm trying to remember.
That isn't what I said.
Okay, you didn't say it.
It's very important you understand this. I didn't tell you anything. You said you were sure Kate Beekman killed the little guy.
Yeah, and nobody had to tell me. I know she did.
You said you want the law to pay her back.
I do.
All I said was the law won't make her pay unless the district attorney believes she had a reason for killing him. Do you believe she killed him, Tony?
I know it.
Do you have reasons for believing it?
Sure.
Then all you have to do is remember the reasons.
Gus, you tell me what to say.
How can I? I don't know she killed him.
I do.
How?
I just know she did.
How?
I know it, that's all. Now quit picking at me.
Now, Tony, I'm willing to accept your word, but I'm not the district attorney.
Oh, Gus.
Now, we better stop talking.
Gus, I know she did it. For lots of reasons. She's got a real hot temper.
Mm-hmm.
Only feeling lousy like I do, it's hard for me to remember things straight. Now, you could help me.
No, Tony, you'll have to do it all yourself. If I knew, I'd go to the DA myself.
Maybe he got fresh with her and she killed him.
Gordy? Gordy was a sweet little guy. Remember how nice he was?
I remember better than anybody else.
Of course you do. I know Gordy wouldn't pick on a kid, and if I know, you certainly do.
You're right, Gus. You're right. Gordy wouldn't hurt a single hair on her head.
Yet you think she killed him in self-defense.
I didn't think what I was saying. Gus.
Yes?
The dough he carried. Gordy carried a wad of dough big enough to choke a horse. And Kate knew he did.
Are you saying she killed him for the money? Well, that's a thought, but...
No good, huh? I don't know what to remember.
She killed him, didn't she?
Yeah, but... Why won't you help me? Why did you drag me here?
I didn't drag you.
You said I'd remember if I came.
I'm sure you will.
Why?
Because of the associations?
Association?
I know this is where Gordy wanted it to happen.
What?
Look, I'm your friend, Tony. Or didn't you know he told me? So that's it. Oh, don't be hurt, Tony. I didn't repeat it.
Repeat what?
Isn't that just like the little guy? You wanted to keep it a secret, but, well, he was proud, Tony. He was as proud as he could be. So don't blame Gordy for telling me.
Telling you what?
That you and Gordy were going to get married.
Married?
Right here in this chapel. Oh, please don't get mad at the little guy for sharing your secret with me.
Here? Here in this... He told you?
He showed me the license. You aren't hurt because he did, are you? Are you hurt, Tony?
Tell me. Tell me what he said, please, Gus.
Well, a few days ago, after Gordy and I had a little argument and shook hands and were pals again, he said, Gus, this is the happiest day of my life. I popped the question.
Is that what he said?
And he said, I popped the question to Tony, and she said yes. And wait till you see the ring I ordered her. He said it's as big as a headlight.
Where is it?
The jeweler's, I suppose. He had it made up to special order. We'll see you get it.
Thanks, Gus. What else did Gordy say?
Well, he brought me here. Yes, Tony, right here to this chapel. Told me how he wanted it to be. A real big deal, you know, with flower girls and a best man. He asked me to be his best man. And all your friends throwing rice and orange blossoms. It works, Tony. Gordy was never a piker. He had nothing but the best for you and him. He even wanted music. You know, somebody singing, Oh, Promise Me. Honest, Tony, when I stood there a few minutes ago and looked down at the little guy and remembered all the wonderful plans he had for himself and for you. Tony, you aren't sore because he told me, are you?
No. I'm glad he did.
And so am I. Because for a while I was worried. I was afraid Kate Beekman had turned his head.
No.
Of course it isn't true, because when he asked you to marry him, well, there's no question. He was nuts about you, Tony.
I knew it all the time.
When he asked you to marry him, that shoved Kate Beekman out in the cold.
Yeah.
That poor little guy. You know how he hated to hurt anyone.
He was the sweetest guy who ever lived.
Well, he didn't say it, but I know how much he hated to tell Kate Beekman she was out in the cold. He kept that to himself.
What?
How tough it was going to be to give Kate Beekman the brush. Oh, I'm sure he talked it over with you. Didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
He told you how he hated to give her the air? I don't mind saying I wouldn't want to give her the brush. Of course, Gordy wasn't afraid of anything, but I would have been. Who can tell what a hot-tempered kid like her would do?
Gus.
Yeah, Tony?
I want to see the DA. I want to see him now.
You remember?
You bet I remember. I know why she killed him.
You've got to be certain, Tony. You've got to be absolutely certain.
I'm certain. I know it, Gus. I know why she killed him. That redhead killed him, and Gus, I can prove it. I can prove she planned to do it.
You heard Gus Jensen warn Tony Facina. She could tell the district attorney only what she knows to be the truth. But as you know, it's easy for a woman like Tony to believe what she wants to believe, even about a nice, innocent girl like Kate Beekman. There'll be important and dramatic developments in the immediate future. So join us tomorrow, won't you? It's mid-afternoon, shortly after the close of our last episode. In one part of the city, a little boy plays happily in the park. There are lots of parks in the city, but this park is special because it's his. And the little boy has found wonderful, wonderful things here. For example, dogs on leashes. Nice dogs that never bite or bark too loudly. And ducks in the duck pond. And worms sometimes when his mother doesn't catch him looking for them in the dirt. Of course, the most wonderful wonder of all is the dirt. This little boy is an authority on it. He knows you can find dirt most anywhere if you dig deep enough. You'll find it under the roots of the grass, around the rocks that grow in the grass. Well, most anywhere if you look hard enough. When the dirt is dry, it makes a fine black snowstorm. And when it's wet, you can make mud pies and mud cakes beyond compare. But when you get too much of it on you...
Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy.
Mommy.
Yes, darling, I see you. Jimmy, did you have...
Jimmy love you, Mommy.
Now, hold still. Let me wipe some of the mud off.
Jimmy love you, Mommy.
Yes, darling. Mommy love you, but please hold still while Mommy gets some of the dirt off you. That tickle? Oh, you love.
Big squeeze.
That was a big squeeze. Oh, Jimmy, why don't you stay clean?
Hello, Helen. Having man trouble?
What, Della?
Della.
Jimmy, you stay right here and play. Oh, Della, I'm so glad to see you.
Well, to quote a friend of mine, I don't have to ask you how you are. And Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy, what have you been
I
doing?
love you.
Oh, I love you too, darling.
Della, he's covered with dirt.
Oh, that's all right. I don't care. Oh,
Isn't anyone going to say hello to me?
Mr. Mason.
Hello, Helen. You're looking wonderful. And so is Jimmy.
You can't see him through the dirt.
Well, he's a little boy, Helen.
Now you sound like Jake. Honestly, I get him all cleaned up and ready for Jake to come home, but if there's 1 square inch of dirt within a mile of him... Jimmy, don't eat that. It's dirty.
Dirty.
And he's the biggest tease in the world. You want to see me, Mr. Mason?
Yes, Helen, but take your time. It's all right.
Jimmy, you play right here. With that nice toy Daddy got you yesterday? Ah, that's a good boy. Do you mind sitting here on the bench where I can watch him?
No, not at all.
He'll play with that nice toy for about 30 seconds. Oh, look at him. He is playing with it.
He does look wonderful, Helen. So do you. We stood by the tree and watched.
It makes me feel almost guilty after what happened 2 years ago. I don't have to tell you how grateful I am. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have Jake or Jimmy.
Well, Helen, now I need your help.
The Gordy Weber murder case? Ed Beekman's under arrest.
That's right.
What is it, Mr. Mason?
Well, I don't want to approach Jake directly.
Oh?
Well, I'm keeping a witness undercover.
Now, wait a minute. Before you tell me anything else...
Well, I'm not sure I will tell you anything else.
Can I ask us a couple of questions?
Once a newspaper woman.
Always a newspaper woman. Jimmy, go the other way. The other way. Oh.
You have a question?
Uh-huh. My husband's paper quoted you as saying Ed Beekman is innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, all I know is what I read in the paper.
Helen?
Well, that is all I know.
Helen?
Well, sometimes at night before we go to sleep, Jake does talk. But, of course, he doesn't tell secrets. Exactly. Not unless I make him.
You know Ed Beekman is innocent?
Yeah, I know that.
You know his daughter Kate was in Gordon Weber's place the night Weber was killed?
Yes, Jake told me.
Kate Beekman is innocent, Helen.
Oh, sure. Jake said you said she is.
But the district attorney is conducting an undercover investigation.
Of Ed Beekman's daughter?
Maybe, we're not sure. But here's the setup. If the DA is investigating Kate Beekman, he's wasting time.
He should be looking for the real killer.
Mm-hmm. So, well, look at this. Bringing me a mud pie yet.
Uncle Perry.
Now, don't touch Uncle Perry, Jimmy. Your hands are covered with mud.
Oh, Helen. Hey, look, Jimmy. Jimmy.
Oh, that beautiful tweed suit.
Don't mind that. Hey, listen, Jimmy.
Huh?
Jimmy.
Say, yes, Uncle Perry.
Will do. Look, Jimmy, I got some peanuts with me.
Oh, Mr. Mason.
And the peanuts are not for you, Jimmy. They're for the squirrel. Yeah, squirrel. Now, I see a squirrel who's very hungry.
Hungry?
Yeah. That one there by the tree there, see him?
Squirrel.
Well, yeah, see? He's watching you, shaking his tail. That means he's hungry.
Hungry.
Yeah. Now, would you give him this peanut, please?
Peanut?
You put it down on the ground in front of him, all right?
Ground.
Put it down on the ground, Jimmy.
Put it down ground.
What is it, Mr. Mason?
Well, since Kate Beekman was in Weber's apartment, and if the DA knows that she was there, he will waste valuable time investigating her.
He'll try to find a motive. Can he?
Well, you look hard enough, you might think you have found almost anything. Put it down on the ground, Jimmy.
So?
That's right. So Apt is on the hook. He said that he was certain Ed Beekman killed Weber.
I read the papers.
But he hasn't followed up. He hasn't tried to get an indictment from the grand jury.
You've got the answer. The DA's interested in Kate.
Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody put a bug in the ear of a very smart newspaper man...
Meaning Jake?
The smart newspaper man would begin to wonder why Apt hasn't followed up on Ed. And if the smart newspaper man spread the word, other newspaper men would begin to ask the same question.
Which would force Mr. Apt out into the open. You want to protect Kate Beekman.
And there's no risk for Jake, Helen.
Yeah, but you want to protect Kate Beekman.
Yes. You see, Jimmy?
Helen's never taken her eyes off him, Chief. I see you, Mr. Mason. Why?
Well, some kids grow up like Jimmy. They stay just as nice and just as sweet as they were when they were kids.
Kate Beekman is like that, Helen. Well, then how could anybody find a motive for her? Jimmy was covered with mud a few minutes ago. If you didn't know him and me, you might think he was a filthy brat. You wouldn't understand how he got dirty. Yeah, I see what you mean, Mr. Mason. I'll speak to Jake. I'll speak to him tonight.
Tony Facina leaves the chapel where last services were held for Gordy Weber. Now Tony lifts the veil covering her face, starts to hail a cab.
Taxi! Taxi!
Miss Facina.
What? Oh, you're the cop, Lieutenant Halverson.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, Lieutenant.
Excuse
taxi?
me, Miss Facina.
Yes?
I realize this is a most unhappy time for you, and I wouldn't ask it if it weren't necessary.
I understand, Lieutenant. You have your duty to perform.
That's the way it is, Miss Facina.
I understand, Lieutenant, and I'm sorry I can't talk to you now.
Why can't you?
Lieutenant, when you and I talked, when you asked me about Kate Beekman...
I remember.
Of course. You wrote everything I said in your notebook. I didn't tell you the whole truth, Lieutenant.
What's that mean?
I didn't tell you the whole truth about Kate Beekman. I told you some things.
Yes?
I told you enough to make you understand Kate Beekman isn't the pure, sweet child she pretends to be. But I didn't tell you all of it. Kate Beekman killed Gordon Weber.
That is a serious accusation.
I know. I wouldn't say she killed him if I weren't positive, Lieutenant. I wouldn't say it if I weren't afraid she'd do the same thing over again. Gordy's gone. Kate Beekman can't hurt him anymore. But I just have to be certain she doesn't kill somebody else like she killed Gordy. Now, excuse me, Lieutenant. I'm going to go to see the district attorney.
Won't you go with me, Miss Facina? The district attorney is waiting to see you.
Oh?
He wants to see you about Kate Beekman. This way, Miss Facina. My car is just down the block.
Kate Beekman is as innocent of Gordon Weber's murder as that little child playing in the park. But as you also know, Tony Facina has been made to believe certain things about Kate. Tony believes what she's about to tell the district attorney. You'll join us tomorrow, won't you?